How do you find these unicorns if you're a recruiter in this day and age?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Well, so it depends on what you're recruiting for. Okay. If you're looking for a chief compliance officer, you probably want to interview around some curiosity questions. Compliance people need to be able to ask, well, why'd you put that on the expense report? Well, why did we spend that there? Well, why do we, there's a lot of why that needs to be happening. On the other hand, if you're interviewing and recruiting for anything in the growth of the company, particularly sales and marketing, responsiveness, speed is critical. So in our company, a real-time example, we kind of pride ourselves on ridiculous responsiveness. We try and get right back to people right away. We're not perfect, but we probably need therapy. We're a little maniacal about getting right back to people, right? And when we're interviewing and we're looking for a unicorn that matches that, quite often, I'm going to get shredded for this, but quite often we'll finish an interview with someone and then maybe the next day or at an awkward hour or whatever, we'll have someone from the office that didn't interface, say you've interviewed with us, Tony, that didn't interface with you, text you out of the blue. Hey, Tony, it's William from Vanderbloemen. I was out of town when you were interviewing. I just heard great things. I would love to touch base with you sometime. Hope you have a great day. If you don't respond at all, you aren't going to lose the job over it, but man, I don't know that you're going to enjoy life in a company that says you got to respond within 60 seconds because that's how we roll. And you can say, well, you're abusing people by sending random texts in an interview. No, the abuse would be hiring someone into a culture that expects something that they're not wired to do or don't want to do. That's abuse. So I would rather find people with the same kind of crazy that we have. So that they're like, oh, yes, you're like, so if you text back within less than 24 hours, like, wow, that was pretty good, because statistics show people 42 hours is normal response time. If you text back within an hour, it's like, oh my gosh. Even if you text back and say, hey, William, appreciate it. I am walking back into the house after being gone all day. Why don't we touch base later this week? What works for you? That's gold. You don't have to like do work off hours. If you text back within a minute, we have a pretty clear sign that you might be the same kind of crazy we are. So how do recruiters interview for unicorns? Determine which of those habits best fits the job you're recruiting for, and then build hidden tests for that habit into the interview. Not how responsive are you? That's not a question. Like if you need agility, if this is Google used to have a department called the X department. It was just working on future projects, right? Terribly creative, agile thinkers. That's if you're interviewing for a job like that. When I'm interviewing like that, I've been known to move the venue of the interview 30 minutes before the interview just to see how people respond. And I don't mean move from one town to another. I mean like move 2 streets over. And if they're like, oh, that's great, we'll do that, no problem. But if they're like, you said here and we got to, I do things this way. Well, maybe you're a great fit for an engineering job, but you're not good for Project X that requires. So you see, I think I'm learning that I have to understand that the interview is not the 90 minutes or 60 minutes or 2 hours. It's the entire interface with the candidate while you're considering them for the job. And you can find ways, because people on here are smart already because they're on your show. But you find ways to interview for the practice of those habits, particularly the ones that are most critical for whatever job you're recruiting for.